Excited to bring on Ole Miss legend, NFL standout, one of my favorite guys to watch play in general, let alone the linebacker position, Patrick Willis. Patrick, thanks for coming on, my friend. Like I said, I really enjoyed watching you, and congratulations on all the success and the induction. But while I got you, I got to talk a little linebacker.
Let's do it.
Watching you read, watching you, you've never had any false steps. There wasn't a lot of false movement. What were you a read through the triangle guy, or were you kind of more of a reading the motion, reading the movement, and then kind of going just off instinct?
Great question. When I first, before I got here to Senior Bowl, before I got to Senior Bowl week, I would read the running back. So I was growing up, they always teach you, man, back, eyes on the running back, eyes in the backfield on your back. And I came here with that same mentality. I mean, that's from high school to college. That's how I had played the middle linebacker. So I get here my first day of practice, and Coach Singletary is one of the best defenders, one of the best linebackers to ever play the game. And I remember getting in our drill, and we were doing drills, and I was doing everything I normally do, and I just know he'd be like, Mississippi, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like that. Yeah, he wasn't calling by a name. He was one thing I learned later on. You had to earn that right. But long story short, I was trying to. I mean, he just kept getting on me, and then I got frustrated because I'm not used to. Every time I'm doing something, he getting on me. I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? Am I not where I'm supposed to be? And he was like, no, son, what are you looking at? I'm like, well, I'm looking at the running backs, looking at their steps and da da da. And he was like, no, son, you got to read the lineman. To the running back,
It's like seeing the beach through the forest.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, huh?
Yeah.
Like that. So long story short, I remember that week working on it, and then I was then being drafted by them. I had them, and I began to really understand how to key the guards to the running back, and before you know it, it made my world a whole lot easier.
Yes, sir. It's amazing.
Yes,
you beat him to the punch.
You can.
I do want to ask, one of my favorite plays, and I've watched a ton of football, one of my favorite plays, and I'm trying to remember the LSU running back who it was. I think you know what I'm talking about. When you stuck him at the goal line. Maybe one of the greatest form tackles I've ever seen. I think you had a club on your hand, and you lifted him up and you dumped him. But the thing, Patrick, watching your technique and your effort gets you through the door. You should never have to be questioned about effort. But your technique was so good. How much did you work on that? The little thing, the not false stepping, the getting in the right stance, making it the same every time so you can react.
Yeah, it said the best form of practice is repetition, and it's doing it over and over and over. And then playing this game, you learn real fast that it's the game of inches. And that, any off, movement or whatnot, it's a first down or a touchdown. And so, as a defender, everything counts. I'm the type of person, I don't want to give them nothing. So in everything, I learned that, you got to have your fundamentals and you have to have your techniques. And no matter what, those can never go out the door. And if you carry those with you, no matter where you are, you can use them. And so for me, it was just a lot of working at it and just wanting to be exact. And then speaking of that tackle, it was Justin Vincent.
Which at
the College Football Hall of Fame, him and I actually spoke about that last year. But what made that play so interesting was, speaking of, I made a call, but our front was lined up wrong, and I noticed the front was lined up wrong because where I was lined up, and I was like, wait a minute. And as the captain of the defense, one of the captains of the defense, one of the generals of the defense, I knew it was on me to make sure no matter what, if something don't go right, I'm not the one to point the fingers. It's on me, And so at that moment, I made the call, and we was lined up wrong. And the only thing I was thinking is, I got to make it right.
Yeah,
and
you do that. That's playing that position. You always say you got to make the D line right. You got to make the.
You made it right.
Yeah, I love that.
Man, I want to ask you about the SEC. Every week in the Southeastern Conference, every week is a war, and now it looks like Texas and Oklahoma are going to join the SEC. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you expect from them when they come into the conference?
Yeah, the SEC, to me, I feel like is one of the best footballs, one of the best conferences in football. I've always felt that ever since I was young, and then to be able to play in the conference myself, I can validate it. To see these other teams coming in, I smile because, don't get me wrong, they do well in that. They've done well in their conferences, but the SEC is a different type of football. I like to say even the lowest of what we call in our SEC play is still good football, and so it's going to be interesting to see those guys come in and do what they do. But at the end of the day, like, I'm sure it's going to be good football.
It's going to add even more firepower, man.
Yeah, speaking of the SEC, let's talk a little Ole Miss football. You know, Lane's there. What do you think is going to be the result of this year with Ole Miss? You thinking Jackson Dart? I believe it. Jackson Dart, I believe in. I think that they might get over the hump and finish second in the West this year.
You know, I've been able to follow Ole Miss. I've been able to go back a few games over the last couple of seasons, and to see them, to see Lane do what he has done, it's been tremendous and just phenomenal. Like, I don't know him as a coach, but just the vibe that he gives off, I'm like, man, I like that vibe.
That new wave.
I like that vibe, and I say it to say that, you know, when you got a team that believes in their coaches and it's a vibe, you got the players that they want to do everything they can to see the coach succeed. That's an amazing feeling. So I think they're going to do. They're going to do really well.
Well, they've got their identity. They know who they are, and Lane's kind of
players trust Lane.
Go ahead.
And I will say, I'm biased, but I'm a firm believer that defense has to always come with it, no matter what. And I know that they had a pretty good defense last year. The defense played phenomenal well, and they're going to have it again this year. And their main staple was, when watching Ole Miss, it was that quarterback. The quarterback,
Matt Corral,
Man, I was a Corral fan. I was.
Me too.
The rest of us too, man.
I think he's going to beat out
for
Sam
Carolina,
Darnold.
man.
Well, eventually, I think he's going to take over for Sam Darnold.
I thought it was a good. When I saw that he went to Carolina, I smiled because I was like,
sneaky pick,
Patrick Willis
good
of
pick.
I love it.
Patrick Willis.
Matt's a gamer too.
I'll tell you, man, he can play ball, man.
No, he's got some witch in him.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
definitely.
But Patrick, I appreciate it. Thank you so
thank
much,
y'all.
my friend.
I appreciate
Congrats
it.
on the induction. You
Thank
deserve
you,
it.
sir.
I'm just glad you're not
Appreciate it.
tackling my ass.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
I'm glad I'm not hitting anybody
Me
neither,
too.
man.
I'm sliding. I'm sliding.
I'm Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I'm sliding.
No, but, all right, we appreciate it. Appreciate you guys as well. If you like that content, go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to be balling every day on Crain and Company. Hit that like button while you're at it, and go ahead and smash it like Derrick Henry on an ISO run.